Tuesday, the 10th of August, when Emil put the frog in the lunch basket and then behaved so badly that I hardly dare write about it. One can't help feeling a bit sorry for Emil's father. One after the other of his son's idiotic bargains had turned out successfully, while all he had brought home from the auction was a sow. And just fancy, the horrible creature had 11 piglets one night, when no one was expecting them, and she gobbled up 10 of them, for that is what sows do sometimes. The 11th piglet would have died too, if Emil hadn't saved it. Emil woke up in the night with a stomachache and had to go outside. As he passed the pigsty, he heard a baby pig inside squealing for dear life. Emil forced the door open. He had arrived in the nick of time and snatched the last little pig from its cruel mother. She really was a vicious old sow, but anyway, she caught some strange disease and died 3 days later. Poor Emil's father, now all he had left from the auction at Bakorva, was one little piglet. "There's nothing but misery and misfortune at Bakorva," he said to Emil's mother, when they were in bed that night. "There's some sort of curse on their animals, that's obvious." Emil heard this from his bed and poked his nose over the sheets. "I'll take the piglet," he said. "I don't mind if there's a curse on it." But Emil's father didn't like that kind of talk. "You're always wanting more and more," he said bitterly. "What about me? Am I never going to get anything?" Emil kept quiet after that and didn't mention the piglet for some time. It was an unusually weak little thing, shivering and sickly. "It must be the curse that has taken the strength out of it," said Emil to himself. He thought it was awful how something like that could happen to a little pig that had done no harm to anyone. Emil's mother thought so too. "Poor little beast," she said. Lena was fond of animals too, and especially of this piglet. "Poor little Piggy Beast," she said. "He's sure to die soon." And he certainly would have if Emil hadn't taken him into the kitchen and been just like a mother to him. He fed the little pig milk from a baby's bottle, wrapped him in a soft blanket, and put him in a bed in a basket. Alfred came up and watched Emil try to feed the poor little thing and asked, "How's he doing?" "There's a curse on him, and he won't eat," said Emil. "But we'll see about that, curse or no curse. I'm going to keep this piglet alive. I've made up my mind." And that's exactly what he did. It wasn't long before the pig was a lively little creature and as round and rosy as a little pig should be. "Little Piggy Beast, I really think you're going to be all right," said Lena. "Little Piggy Beast," she said, and the name stuck to him for the rest of his life. "Yes, he's going to be all right," said Emil's father. "You've done a good job, Emil." Emil was always pleased when his father praised him, and he promptly asked, "How many times must I save his life before I get to keep him?" And Emil's father only said, and looked stern, so Emil kept quiet and didn't mention the pig for some time. Now Piggy Beast was out in the pigsty again, but he didn't like that very much. What he liked was to trot around at Emil's heels just like a dog, and Emil nearly always allowed him to tag along. "He thinks you're his mummy," said little Ida, and perhaps Piggy Beast did think so, for as soon as he saw Emil, he would rush towards him, squealing with joy. He wanted to be with Emil. He wanted to have his back scratched now and then, and Emil always did it for him. "I've got the knack of scratching pigs," he said as he sat comfortably on the bench under the cherry tree and gave Piggy Beast a good old scratch. And Piggy Beast stood there with his eyes shut and grunted now and then to show how much he was enjoying himself. The summer days came and went. The cherries ripened on the trees above the spot where Piggy Beast stood to be scratched, and sometimes Emil pulled off a few handfuls of cherries and gave them to Piggy Beast, who liked cherries as much as he liked Emil. The pig became quite convinced that a pig could have a fine life if it happened to be in the place where there was an Emil. Emil liked Piggy Beast too, more and more every day. Once, when he was sitting on the bench scratching Piggy Beast's back, he began to think how much he liked him, and that made him think about all the other people he liked. Well, Alfred comes first, he thought, and then Lucas, and then Ida, and then Piggy Beast. Oh, but I've forgotten Mummy. Oh, obviously Mummy, of course, but otherwise it's Alfred and Lucas and Ida and Piggy Beast. And then he puckered his eyebrows and thought hard. That leaves Papa and Lena, he thought. In some ways I like Papa and in some ways I don't. I just don't know about Lena. I don't like her and I don't dislike her. I pay as little attention to her as I do to the cat. Naturally, Emil went on getting into mischief every day, and he spent a lot of time in the tool shed, as we can see from the blue exercise books. But Emil's mother was very busy because of the harvest, and sometimes she only wrote, "Emil in the tool shed," without saying why. Now Emil had started taking Piggy Beast to the tool shed with him, because the time goes much quicker with a playful little pig for company, and after all he couldn't carve little wooden men all the time. Instead he began to train Piggy Beast to do all kinds of tricks that no one would have believed an ordinary little Smaland pig could possibly do. It was all very secret, and Piggy Beast enjoyed himself and learned very quickly, especially because each time he did something well, he got a titbit from Emil. Emil had a whole stock of biscuits and cakes and dried cherries in a secret box behind the carpenter's bench, since he never knew when he might have to go to the tool shed, and he didn't want to sit there and die of starvation. If you're clever at it and you've got some dried cherries, you can teach a little pig anything, Emil explained to Alfred and Ida one Saturday evening, when he had decided to reveal Piggy Beast's secret skills, which no one had been allowed to see before. Everyone was in the lilac grove, and it was a great moment for both Emil and Piggy Beast. Alfred and Ida sat on the bench and opened their eyes wide with astonishment when they saw the marvellous things that Piggy Beast could do. They had never seen such a pig. He could sit like a dog when Emil said sit, and pretend to be dead when Emil said dead pig, and hold out his right foot in thanks when Emil gave him dried cherries. Ida clapped her hands with delight. "Can he do anything else?" she said excitedly. And then Emil shouted, "Gallop!" and whoops, Piggy Beast started to run round and round the lilac grove. Every now and then Emil shouted, "Jump!" and Piggy Beast leapt straight up into the air and then went on running again, looking extremely pleased with himself. "Oh, how sweet," said little Ida, and he did look very sweet, going round and round, making little jumps in the lilac grove. "Well, all the same, it's not natural for a pig," said Alfred. But Emil was proud and pleased because he was sure there wasn't another pig like Piggy Beast in the whole of Lonnenberga and the whole of Smaland. Gradually, Emil taught Piggy Beast to skip as well. Have you ever seen a pig skip? No, you haven't? Well, Emil's father hadn't either. But one day, when he was walking down by the cow pasture, he saw Emil and Ida swinging an old bridle rein as Piggy Beast jumped over it with his little feet spreading out at every jump. "He thinks it's fun," little Ida assured him, but her father wasn't impressed. "Pigs aren't meant to have fun," he said. "They're meant for Christmas hams, and with all that skipping, he's going to be as thin as a whippet. Now let that be the last of it." Emil gave a cold shudder. Christmas ham? Out of Piggy Beast? He hadn't thought about that. But now he did, and he decided it was one of those days when he didn't really like his father very much.